Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A. I apologize for the audio quality. Something's going on with my mic, so I'm just recording straight from the phone. Let's get right into it, because we've got quite a few questions. So, our first question here is from Austin Kopp. So first, a probably easy Q&A, but how exactly did Satine Kryze come to rule Mandalore? I don't know, though. That's actually a good question. I'm not entirely sure myself. I know she was a duchess, so it might have been that she held some sort of royalty. I'm not sure if it was passed on to her or if she was elected. A lot of the stuff with Mandalore I'm not too knowledgeable about, but my guess is she was either elected or she inherited the position. I'm not sure that that's how Mandalore works, though. So again, not really sure, but thank you for the question. Our next question, Thomas Stone says, a story that centers on Plagueis killing Tenebrous and recruiting and training Palpatine, ? If you're asking if I want to see that, yeah, I think that would be awesome. Maybe a Disney Plus series. I think that would be really cool. The Plagueis novel really, it really is a great book. So to see that adapted, yeah, absolutely. Jacob Smith asks, is there a popular Star Wars character that is well liked that you don't personally like, and why? And vice versa. This is a tough one. I can't really think of many characters that I really hate in Star Wars, and especially characters that I don't like that other people really do like. I can tell you one character who I don't really get all the hype for, but apparently everyone else seems to love, and that would probably be Darth Revan. And honestly, I do get the hype for Revan. I know why he's so popular. Like I said, I grew up when I played Knights of the Old Republic 1. I thought, this is a fun game, it's cool, I like the story, but I was more of a Knights of the Old Republic 2 kind of guy. Revan's a cool character. He's personally not one of my top favorites. I think he's really interesting. He's got a good story, just not one of my favorites. Character that I really like, but a lot of people don't seem to like all that much. That's a tougher one. I can't really say. Well, I guess if we're going by like today's discourse in the Star Wars fan base, I like Rey a lot. She's not, like, obviously not my favorite character, but I do like her. But apparently a lot of people don't. So I'd say that's my answer for that one. Thank you for asking. Simple Clone Trooper asks, clones or stormtroopers? I don't know. If we're asking like who would win in a fight, obviously the clone troopers. If we're asking who I like better, that's also really tough, because I grew up during the prequels where the clone troopers were the big thing. I don't know. I'd say, I guess, clone troopers, but by a very slim margin. I think stormtroopers are just so iconic. It's such an iconic imagery that's so connected with Star Wars that I think of Star Wars and stormtroopers are one of the first things to pop into my head. I remember watching A New Hope for the first time and seeing them storm Leia's ship, and I just really like the imagery of the Imperial stormtroopers. So it's a toss-up, kinda, but I'd say probably clone troopers. From Tim McClemont, he says, do you plan on getting this canonized and published? If no, why? I assume you're talking about the Cassius stories. So, first of all, if I wanted to get it published, there's a lot of logistical and legal loopholes and nightmares that I'd have to go through regarding Disney and Lucasfilm. Not only that, I've actually lost a few of the original typed out chapters, and I have no way of retrieving them, so I'd have to go into each of the audiobooks on the channel and transcribe word for word what was written down. Not to mention all the revisions I'd have to do, and that's just time I don't have right now. But in answer your question, while it would be cool to say, hey, I've got a canon character in Star Wars, I'm gonna have to say I wouldn't want this canonized Mainly because I feel like right now this is something special that I'm just doing because I love. This is a story I want to tell, whether it's canon or not. It's a story that I'm telling, and I'm very proud of. And you know, who knows? Like, at some point in the future, I doubt I'll ever be able to get it canonized. That's just too much of a nightmare. But who knows? Maybe I'll like put together some hard copies at some point in the future, give them away as part of like a giveaway or like a subscriber special thing. I think that might be kind of cool to do. From Abs, I just want to ask, how are you doing? How are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing really well. The channel's been doing well, and it's just been great. Thank you. 212 Trooper asks, how do you think Qui-Gon would react to suddenly being in Middle-earth, specifically during the time frame of Lord of the Rings? I think Qui-Gon would get along very well with a lot of the Fellowship, especially Gandalf. I think Qui-Gon was extremely wise, Gandalf was wise. They'd probably be asking each other a ton of questions, just trying to figure out who this person is, where he came from. Just they'd really get along well, I think. Maybe Qui-Gon joins the Fellowship and helps them destroy the ring, helps them fight off the Balrog, and then Gandalf doesn't have to die. That's basically how I think it would go down. It would be a long conversation between the two. The hobbits wondering, like, what is this laser light glowing sword he has? And yeah, the orcs wouldn't stand a chance against Qui-Gon. So that's how I think Qui-Gon would react suddenly to being in Middle-earth. Thank you for your question. We have another one here that asks, what do you think of Star Wars theory? So I've made my thoughts on Star Wars theory pretty well known. I used to really like his videos, and over time I just kind of fell off. A lot of his content just doesn't grab me anymore, and it's one of those things that it's not his fault. I don't hate Star Wars. So, you know, am I gonna drop a diss track on the guy talking about how much I hate him? No, absolutely not. I just think his content has kind of strayed further away from the kind of stuff I like to see in Star Wars content on YouTube. And again, like, there's nothing wrong with him going his route. He's doing the stuff he wants to do, and it's just not really for me anymore. So to answer the question there, I don't hate him. I just don't really watch his stuff anymore. But thank you for your question. Our next question here is also from 212 Trooper. How do you think Order 66 would have gone if the Grand Army of the Republic was only mostly clones? Like 1/3 were actually recruited soldiers or something like that. I still think Order 66 would have decimated the Jedi Order. Regardless if a third of them were recruited soldiers, that still leaves a huge portion of clones who would obey the Order because of their inhibitor chips. And even if more Jedi ended up surviving, the clones would definitely decimate the Order. Thank you very much for your question. Question here from Fall Song. What is your favorite part of making what-if scenarios and working with the voice actors? I think you said it was right there. Working with the voice actors is probably my favorite part. The writing process is also it's great. Writing out the what-if scenarios, and it's challenging in a way because you have to keep things realistic. You don't want to go too far off. But I think working with the voice actors is probably my favorite thing. Just giving these people their lines and then giving them the direction and then just seeing the magic they put out. And pretty much every voice actor I've worked with so far, they're just amateurs like me who have a microphone. And hearing some of the stuff they do is just fantastic, and it really just hearing how grateful they are to be in the video, how grateful I am to have them lend their talents to these silly what-if videos. It's probably my favorite thing about doing what-if scenarios. Thank you very much. Another from Tim McClaymont. How do you get in the mind space to write and create? That is the $1 million question. It typically, so I'll preface this by saying I have a tendency to procrastinate. And for me, how I get into the mind space to write and create is usually an idea pops into my head and I think, ooh, I don't want to lose this. And I start writing down my idea. And once I have that kind of spark of this could be something, I start writing. But it also kind of depends on the scenario. With Cassius, I already have a passion for writing that out. So I'm constantly thinking of new ways and new directions to take the story. Even though I have like his entire story outlined, I know the major events, there's still a lot of different things and that I can change or switch up, and areas I can take the story that might be unexpected to the listener. And it's those kind of things, those little moments of, oh wow, that's good, or oh wow, I could do that pop into my head and kind of give me that inspiration. Other times it's just that I've been, away from writing or creating new content too long, and then I'll be sitting down, just something sparks in my head, like, you know what? Go to your notes, start writing something. So that's usually how I get into the mind space. I usually like a more quiet environment to write in. I don't typically like to listen to music or anything because that just kind of distracts. When I'm writing out something I'm really passionate about, I just like absolute quiet. And obviously I like to take breaks now and then just to make sure I don't burn myself out. First or second what if on the channel. Thank you very much for your question. Our final question here comes from Milkman McGee, and he says, for a new Star Wars film trilogy, what would you prefer between these two timelines? An ancient story building up to the beginning of the Old Republic, or an independent story set thousands of years after the Skywalker saga? Would like to hear your thoughts, and overall big fan of your written works. Thank you very much. Man, that's a tough question, because I've tossed around ideas for both of these scenarios with some of my friends. I think if we were doing an ancient story building up to the beginning of the Old Republic, I would actually like to see 6 films split into 2 trilogies, and each trilogy covers the same time period, but from the points of view of the early Jedi and the early Sith. You could have one trilogy with the Jedi focusing on the first film being like their earliest days, discovering the prophecy of the Chosen One, all that stuff. The second film could be showing them during their civil war with the Sith, like you skip ahead a couple hundred or so years, and really dive into the turmoil. And then the third film kind of leading into maybe the High Republic, showing the Jedi starting to, sort of lose their way. And then we kind of, by the end of that, show how the Jedi of the prequels came about. And with the Sith, you can do something similar. The first film showing the early days of the Sith race and how they became the Sith we know today. The second film, you could do something like showing the extinction of the hundreds of Sith and going into the rule of 2 and all that with Darth Bane. And then with the third film, kind of doing something with Plagueis and Palpatine, and again leading into the prequels and showing how the Sith got to that position in power. And I think it could be one of those things, kind of like the films Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. If you watch them both, you get the full story. And I think that would be really cool to do. But also something set thousands of years after the Skywalker saga, that would also leave a lot of room for a creative mind to come in, show how the galaxy's really progressed, new technology, new races, new species, all that stuff. That could also be something really, really cool to see. So I think either of those scenarios would be really cool. And I think that is it for right now. Thank you guys so much for asking your questions. We'll do another one of these very soon. Keep an eye out for more content coming in the near future. We'll see you later.